Hopefully. Yo, 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 yo. What is up, good people out there on the interwebs? It is Todd Shannon, data scientist, social commentator, getter of buckets. Give yourself a round of applause.
What a fascinating etymological discovery.
Let me see if I can find my applause button here.
What a fascinating
Nope.
etymological discovery.
I'm getting off to a fantastic start today. I'm trying to do my applause, and I'm doing everything except for my applause. Let's see here. Oh, there it is. I gotta say, that is absolutely hilarious that it took me a little minute to get that figured out. But we are live. We're live. And I have to say, if you are new to Todd Thinks, if you're new to my channel, if you are a recent subscriber, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I've got so much fantastic feedback from my new subscribers and just people who've discovered. I do try to read the comments. I don't always get an opportunity to reply to all of the comments, but I do read a good portion of them. And so I have to say, the feedback that I've been getting from you guys has been absolutely fantastic. I feed off of it. It lets me know that I'm making a difference out there. You know, I am a small channel, a small creator, and I know a lot of you are you're basically early adopters. So I can't say how much I appreciate that, because we are going to be in for a fantastic ride. When we get to 1 million subscribers, you're going to be able to get to say, I was here first. I'm not you Johnny come lately bandwagon folks. I was down with Todd Thinks, the Todd Thinks community from day one. So give yourself a round of applause for that. Now, we've got a pretty good stream today. I don't do a lot of live streaming, so you're going to have to give me a little bit of grace on the technology. I know sounds right from the jump like I'm making excuses. I kind of am, so it is what it is. But give me a little bit of grace here. But we are going to have, I think, a really good time kind of working through some of these topics. And I put in my community post what you guys would like me to talk about. And overwhelmingly, I got some good feedback about the Ben Shapiro, Megyn Kelly interview. We are definitely going to take a deep dive into that. That deserves a lot of our attention. And we're going to spend a good portion of that. But we're actually going to talk a lot about this Megyn Kelly lady, because I got to tell you what, I think she might be, in a way, I think she might be like the biggest villain of this entire story, okay? I might be overstating it just slightly here, but Megyn Kelly is an issue. And as someone who, I'm sure all of my audience, I'm sure you guys are sophisticated enough to understand the importance of having a highly principled media, right? We saw the damages of a dishonest and biased media during COVID. We saw it during the 2020 election. We saw it when Joe Biden's health was failing and he was barely cognizant and rational, and they covered it up. It's very, very important to our body politic that we have media who do not lie to the people. And Megyn Kelly is starting to show herself to be a person, unfortunately, as someone who cannot be trusted. So I think that's unfortunate, because Megyn Kelly can be a force for good, and she's deciding not to do that. But as we get into this, I want to start off by talking about the importance of moral clarity. This is, in my opinion, what we need more of than anything. The reason why societies tend to fall into chaos is because lies and misinformation proliferate to a point where no one can make heads or tails of anything, right? Moral clarity is, I think, of the utmost importance. And when it comes to moral clarity, it's important to have a well-formed, a thoroughly formed worldview. So one of the things I heard, I like to give attribution when I hear good things. Michael Knowles. I heard Michael Knowles talking about the left, right? And he was saying the left gets it wrong on everything, right? They get it wrong on sexuality. They get it wrong on the economy. They get it wrong on, free speech. They get it wrong on this, that, and the other. And he was talking about this in the context of climate change. He was saying, what are the chances that they get it wrong on all of those things, but they're getting it right on climate change, right? And I think it's important to think about it in that way, right? I think it's important to think about, not that we automatically discredit what people say just because of who is saying it, but the worldview tends to govern how you view and how you filter every moral issue, right? So this is why these issues tend to cluster. This is why, for example, on the surface, there is no clear overlap or relationship between something like climate change and your thoughts about capitalism, or there's no overlap between something like climate change and, your view of sexuality. But these ideas tend to cluster. And the reason why they tend to cluster is that if you are a radical environmentalist, you probably have certain ideas that are antithetical to traditional sexual norms and sexual standards about gender roles and things like that. The reason why those things tend to cluster is because they come from the same worldview. So when we talk about moral clarity, we have to understand where the worldview comes into play. And there are a lot of people, and I want to say this, many of you, if you're new to my channel, you probably know, and it's should be pretty apparent, at least I try to make it apparent, that I am a Christian. I'm a Christ follower. I am 47 years old, and I've been in the faith since I was 17. So I'm not new to this. One of the elders at my church I used to go to used to say, I'm not new to it, I'm true to it, right? I've been doing this for a long time. So I feel like by God's grace, I have a thoroughly well-formed Christian worldview. And unfortunately, I'm just trying to give you some insight into how I think about why we have such a lack of moral clarity in the conservative side of the political spectrum. It's because we have a lot of people who are claiming the label of conservative, but they do not actually have a thoroughly formed Christian worldview. They hold, I like to say that their views are Christian-esque, right? They're Christian adjacent, but they aren't actually in any real way really Christians. And the reason why that's important is because it's just something that I've always heard, something that my brother and I shared, and it's like error begets error, right? Most of the time, these kind of deficiencies or kind of ambiguities in a person's worldview, most of the time they don't come up. But when you need them, that's when they show up, right? They don't matter until they do. And I think what we're seeing is we have a large contingency of the conservative movement who holds very, very, very loosely to biblical principles. Like they kind of believe in the Bible, sort of, kind of, but not really. So I think that's why we're seeing a lot of abnormality. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the importance of moral clarity. And I just want to set that up as the backdrop. Reading a couple comments here. But by the way, I'm going to glance at some of these comments here because I don't have a moderator for the live chat. I might not be able to respond to those comments, but I'm going to try to keep up with them. So just so you know, I'm not ignoring your chat. I appreciate it. As a matter of fact, everybody beat it up in the chat. If you're enjoying this so far, the chat, you get some activity going, right? That also tells the YouTube algorithm to push this out to more people, expose it so people can jump in. So I appreciate that. So if you go ahead and give me a thumbs up in the chat, a heart in the chat, LOL in the chat, whatever, just give me something in the chat here. Get some things rolling. Appreciate that. Now let's get to what you came here for. Because first of all, I want to say this. If you've been following kind of this new, I'm going to use the term America First. That America First term is, in my view, a pseudonym. It's a false label, in my view. But we're going to use it just because everyone knows what I mean when I say that. This is kind of the Nick Fuentes crowd. Some of you may have heard the term the Groypers, right? But they go by kind of different monikers, America First, the Groypers. And we've got really, that's kind of the underlying kind of layer of this new groundswell of a quote unquote conservative movement, which I don't think it's conservative at all, but it is happening, I guess, on the right. And on top of that, we see also a kind of a percolation of an increasing kind of snubbing of traditional Christian or traditional conservative viewpoints, and kind of in tandem with that is what could only be called an anti-Israelism, right? I hesitate to use the term anti-Semitic because there are a lot of people in those groups who are anti-Semitic. They're not necessarily all anti-Semitic, but there is certainly a heavy anti-Semitic bent. I would say probably more anti-Semitic than anything, but certainly anti-Israel. And this new thing where anytime you say anything about, in support of, at all, about Israel, they throw in the America First and, it's over. We're done with supporting Israel. And it seems like this group is winning. But I want to give you a little perspective on that because I don't know if you guys are movie buffs, but one of my favorite movie franchises of all time is The Lord of the Rings. Right? Beat it up in the chat if you like Lord of the Rings, if you're a fan. Um, Lord of the Rings. I think my favorite movie of the Lord of the Rings was the second installment. I think it was the second installment where they had the battle at Helm's Deep, and there's this part in the battle at Helm's Deep where basically the allies, the Fellowship of the Ring, they were about to be overwhelmed. They were so vastly outnumbered by the orc army, right? And there was Aragon, and then there was Legolas, and the little short dwarf guy. I can't remember his name, but they were kind of just looking at it saying, Legolas and the little dwarf guy were saying, "Guys, these men are either seen too many winters or too few." And it's like they're look at them, they're afraid, they think they're going to die. And then Aragon turns around and says to them, "Then I shall die as one of them. I shall die as one of them." And the reason why that was so powerful is because what Aragon was saying in that very moment is that this is about what's right. This isn't about winning right now. This isn't about joining the momentum of whatever's happening, because there's a strong kind of idea within the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Rings fellowship, where the sentiment was that, hey, Sauron is inevitable. Don't resist him. Join forces. Right. That was kind of the sentiment there. Oops. Mm. Sorry, I'm sure you guys can still hear me. It'll be just a moment.